A young nurse saved the life of a pregnant woman when no one offered to help. Turns out she's a millionaire about to change her life. Emma's feet ached with every step as she made her way down the quiet street. The hospital shift had been brutal, endless patients, emergency calls, and not a single moment to breathe. Her dark curls clung to her neck, damp from the misty night air. The faint glow of the streetlight shimmered off the wet pavement, and the distant hum of traffic filled the silence. She was just a few blocks from home when a low groan cut through the cool night air. Emma's tired eyes scanned the street. That's when she saw her, a pregnant woman leaning against a sleek black car. The woman's face was contorted in pain, her hand clutching her swollen belly. Her legs wobbled beneath her, and her breath came in short, ragged gasps. Emma's instincts took over. Without thinking, she hurried toward her. "Are you okay?" Emma's voice was calm but urgent. I think I'm in labor," the woman gasped, her eyes wide with fear. Emma's heart thudded in her chest. She glanced around. A couple passed by, glancing at their phones. A man in a suit walked briskly past, his earbuds in. No one stopped. No one cared. Emma took a steadying breath and slipped her arm around the woman's waist. "We don't have time to get to the hospital. You're going to have to trust me." The woman's breath hitched as a fresh contraction seized her body. Emma quickly unlocked the car and eased the woman into the back seat. Rain began to patter against the car's roof as Emma slid in behind her, closing the door. The inside of the car was dark except for the soft glow of the dashboard lights. "Just breathe with me, okay?" Emma said, brushing the woman's damp hair from her forehead. It hurts so much," the woman cried out, her hands shaking. Emma could see the panic in her eyes. She placed a gentle hand on the woman's knee. "I'm a nurse. I know what I'm doing. But I need you to listen to me." The woman nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. "You're going to have to push," Emma said softly. The woman's breath hitched. I don't think I can." "Yes, you can." Emma's voice sharpened, steady and sure. "Push now," the woman screamed, gripping Emma's hand with crushing force. Emma leaned forward, her breath steady despite the chaos. Slowly, the baby's head began to crown. Emma's fingers trembled as she guided the infant's head. "That's it. You're doing great. One more push." The woman let out a guttural cry as the baby slid into Emma's hands. A sharp gasp of relief filled the car as the baby's first wail filled the air. Emma's chest tightened as she stared down at the newborn, pink and squirming. "It's a girl," Emma whispered, tears forming in her eyes. She quickly wrapped the baby in her jacket and laid her gently on the mother's chest. "She's perfect," Emma whispered, brushing the baby's damp hair back. The woman's face crumpled with emotion as she clutched her daughter. Emma leaned back against the seat, her heart hammering. But it wasn't over yet. "We need to get you both to the hospital," Emma said, climbing into the driver's seat. Rain hammered against the windshield as Emma sped through the slick streets. Her hands tightened on the steering wheel as the woman's breathing became shallow. "Stay with me," Emma called over her shoulder. The hospital lights came into view just as the woman's eyes fluttered closed. Emma skidded to a stop outside the emergency entrance. She jumped out and shouted toward the entrance. "I've got a mother and newborn in the car. She's losing consciousness." Doctors and nurses swarmed the car. Emma stayed by the mother's side as they wheeled her into the emergency room. Her hand stayed clasped with the woman's until a nurse gently pulled her away. Hours later, Emma sat outside the hospital room. Her head leaned back against the wall, exhaustion washing over her. The hospital room was quiet except for the soft, steady hum of the monitors. The lights were dim, casting a warm glow over the room. Emma sat beside the hospital bed, her hands resting loosely on her knees. Her back ached from the long night, and exhaustion weighed heavily on her limbs. But despite the physical toll, there was a quiet sense of peace settling over her. The tension and urgency from earlier had faded, leaving behind only the soft rise and fall of the newborn's breath and the steady beeping of the heart monitor. In the bassinet beside the bed, the baby slept soundly, wrapped snugly in a white hospital blanket. Her tiny chest rose and fell with each breath, her delicate face serene. Emma smiled faintly. It was hard to believe that just hours ago, this baby had taken her first breath in the back seat of a car during a rainstorm. Emma leaned back in the uncomfortable plastic chair, rubbing her tired eyes. Her scrubs were wrinkled, and her hair was still damp from the rain. But none of that mattered. Not when she looked at the peaceful scene before her. The woman in the hospital bed stirred, her eyelids fluttering. Emma straightened. Slowly, the woman's eyes opened, squinting against the soft light. At first, her gaze was hazy, her expression confused. But then her eyes landed on Emma, and recognition sparked in them. You stayed? The woman whispered, her voice hoarse and weak. Emma sat forward, brushing a stray curl behind her ear. Of course, she said softly. The woman's eyes glistened with unshed tears. Her hand trembled as she reached toward Emma. Emma hesitated only a moment before taking the woman's hand in hers, her fingers warm and steady. Tears spilled down the woman's cheeks as her gaze flicked toward the bassinet. You saved us, she whispered, her voice breaking. Emma's smile was soft, her eyes gentle. Just doing my job, she said. The woman shook her head weakly, her fingers tightening around Emma's hand. No, she whispered. No one else stopped. No one else helped me. You didn't even know me, and you saved my baby. Emma's throat tightened. She looked down at their joined hands, her heart beating a little faster. I couldn't just walk away, she murmured. The woman's lips quivered as fresh tears fell. After a moment, she squeezed Emma's hand. What's your name? Emma. The woman smiled faintly. Emma. She breathed the name like it was sacred. Thank you. Emma's heart clenched. She opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. She had faced countless emergencies before, patients crashing, blood on her hands, the relentless sound of alarms, but this was different. This was intimate, personal. The woman's gaze softened. I'm Victoria, she said, her voice fragile. Emma smiled. It's nice to meet you, Victoria. Victoria's eyes drifted toward the bassinet. She's beautiful, isn't she? Emma followed her gaze. She's perfect. Victoria's hand shook as she lifted it toward her daughter. Emma stood and gently picked up the baby, cradling her carefully before handing her to Victoria. Victoria's breath hitched as the baby nestled against her chest. She wouldn't be here if it weren't for you, Victoria said, her voice trembling. Emma sat back down. I think you would have made it either way, she said softly. Victoria's eyes locked with Emma's. I don't think I would have. Emma hesitated, then leaned forward and tucked the blanket more securely around the baby. Do you have anyone you want me to call? Emma asked gently. Victoria's gaze darkened. She shook her head. No. It's complicated. Emma didn't push. She had seen that look before, the guarded sadness of someone who had learned to survive on their own. Victoria brushed her fingers over the baby's soft hair. She doesn't have a name yet, Victoria said after a moment. Emma raised her eyebrows. Have you thought of one? Victoria smiled faintly. Maybe. Emma's chest tightened. You don't have to. I want to, Victoria said firmly. Emma's eyes burned with tears she hadn't expected. She swallowed hard, nodding. That's an honor, she whispered. Victoria smiled down at her daughter. Emma, she whispered to the baby. My little miracle. The baby stirred, letting out a soft, contented sound. Emma wiped at the corner of her eye. Well, she said with a shaky smile, she's off to a strong start. Victoria's gaze softened. Can I have your number? Emma hesitated. She had been through this before, patients who wanted to stay connected after life-changing moments. But this felt different. She felt drawn to Victoria, as if fate had tethered them together. Finally, she nodded and pulled a pen from her pocket. She scribbled her number on a slip of hospital paper and set it on the bedside table. If you need anything at all, just call me, Emma said. Victoria's eyes shimmered with tears. I will. Emma stood up, smoothing the wrinkles from her scrubs. She hesitated at the door, looking back at the mother and daughter. Victoria's eyes were already drifting closed, exhaustion claiming her. But her arms tightened protectively around the baby. You're safe now, Emma said softly. Victoria's eyes fluttered open for a brief moment. Thanks to you, she whispered. Emma smiled. She slipped quietly from the room, closing the door behind her. She stood in the dimly lit hallway for a moment, her heart still racing. The hospital felt different tonight, calmer, warmer. As she walked toward the exit, a nurse passing by stopped her. Hey, the nurse said. I heard about what you did. Emma's brow furrowed. What do you mean? The delivery. In the car. That's incredible. Emma smiled faintly. I just did what I had to. The nurse shook her head, impressed. You're a hero. Emma's smile widened as she continued toward the exit. The rain had stopped, and the early morning sky was starting to lighten. The quiet hum of the city waking up filled the air. Emma took a deep breath, letting the cool air calm her. A new day, a new beginning. As she walked down the street, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out and smiled when she saw the message. Thank you again. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. Victoria, Emma typed back. You already have. As Emma slipped her phone into her pocket and walked toward home, her heart felt lighter. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she was excited to find out. And somewhere down the road, maybe this night would be the beginning of something even greater. Emma was sitting on her small couch, legs curled under a thin blanket, when her phone buzzed on the coffee table. She stretched forward, picked it up, and glanced at the screen. Unknown number. Her thumb hovered over the screen for a second before answering. Hello. There was a brief pause before a familiar voice responded. Emma? It's me from last night. Emma sat up straighter. Oh, Victoria? Are you okay? I'm fine, Victoria said, her voice calm but carrying an undertone of warmth. Listen. I'd like to see you. Can you meet me at the Wellsworth Tower at 6 p.m.? Emma's brow furrowed. Wellsworth, as in the Wellsworth family? Victoria's tone was light, almost playful. Just come. Before Emma could ask anything else, the line went dead. Emma lowered the phone, her heart fluttering in her chest. The Wellsworth family was practically royalty in the city. Their name was attached to skyscrapers, charities, and major business ventures. The Wellsworth Tower was a symbol of power and influence. Why would Victoria be connected to them? Shaking off the thought, Emma stood and rubbed her palms over her jeans. Her mind raced as she walked toward her bedroom to change. Later that evening, Emma stepped out of a cab and craned her neck to take in the sheer height of the Wellsworth Tower. It was a sleek, glass structure, its edges reflecting the golden hues of the setting sun. She adjusted the hem of her sweater, suddenly aware of how casual she looked. A doorman in a tailored black suit stepped forward. Miss Emma. Emma blinked. Yes. Right this way. He held the door open, and Emma stepped inside. The marble floors glistened under the soft light of a crystal chandelier. A private elevator stood open at the back of the lobby. The doorman gestured toward it. She's expecting you. Emma hesitated for a moment before stepping inside. The doors slid closed, and the elevator began to ascend smoothly. The walls were polished steel, and her reflection stared back at her, looking slightly frazzled and uncertain. Her heart hammered as the elevator slowed and the doors opened. The penthouse was breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city skyline, the lights below twinkling like stars. Plush white sofas were arranged around a glass coffee table, and abstract artwork adorned the walls. A grand piano stood near the window, its glossy black surface catching the glow of the city lights. Victoria stood near the window, dressed elegantly in a sleek black dress that hugged her slender frame. Her dark hair was styled in loose waves over one shoulder, and a delicate diamond bracelet sparkled on her wrist. Emma's breath caught. She barely recognized her from the exhausted, vulnerable woman she had helped the night before. Victoria turned, a warm smile lighting her face. Emma, she said, her voice soft and inviting. Please sit. Emma hesitated before stepping forward and sinking into one of the sofas. This place is incredible, Emma said, her eyes drifting across the room. Victoria smiled knowingly. It's home. Emma's brow furrowed. I don't understand. Are you? Victoria sat down across from her, crossing her legs gracefully. Yes, she said simply. I'm a Wellsworth. Emma's eyes widened. You didn't mention that last night. Victoria's smile softened. I wasn't exactly in a state to give you my life story. Emma's heart raced. Why am I here? Victoria's gaze softened. Because you saved my life. And my daughter's. Emma shook her head. I was just doing my job. Victoria leaned forward. No, you were walking home. You could have ignored me like everyone else. But you didn't. You saved us, and you stayed afterward to make sure we were okay. Emma's cheeks flushed. I couldn't leave you alone. Victoria's eyes shimmered with gratitude. That's exactly why I wanted to see you. Emma glanced toward the window, her pulse still racing. I don't know what to say. Victoria smiled. Then don't say anything. Just listen. She stood and walked toward the bar, pouring 2 glasses of wine. She handed one to Emma before sitting down again. I've spent my whole life surrounded by privilege, Victoria said. I've been to the best schools, traveled to the most luxurious places. But I've also been isolated. Emma frowned. How? Victoria's gaze darkened. My family's name comes with expectations. Appearances have to be maintained. Weakness isn't allowed. Emma's heart tightened. You didn't look weak to me last night. Victoria's lips twitched in a faint smile. Maybe because you saw me at my most vulnerable and you didn't turn away. Emma's chest tightened. I just couldn't. Victoria's gaze softened. That's why you're different. You didn't help me because of who I am. You helped me because of who you are. Emma's breath hitched. I don't know what to say. Victoria's smile deepened. You don't have to say anything. But I'm not done yet. Emma's brow furrowed. What do you mean? Victoria reached into a sleek black envelope on the coffee table and slid it toward Emma. Emma hesitated before picking it up and opening it. Her breath caught. Inside was a check for $1 million. Emma's heart pounded in her chest. I can't accept this. Victoria's gaze remained steady. Yes, you can. Emma shook her head. This is too much. Victoria's eyes softened. It's nothing compared to what you gave me. Emma stared at the check, her hands shaking. What would I even do with this? Anything you want, Victoria said. Pay off your loans. Travel. Open your own clinic. It's yours, no strings attached. Emma's throat tightened. I don't know what to say. Victoria leaned forward, resting a hand on Emma's knee. Say yes. Emma's eyes burned with tears. I can't. Victoria smiled softly. You can. And you deserve it. Emma took a shaky breath, tears threatening to spill. I didn't do it for this. I know. Victoria's gaze was warm. That's why I'm giving it to you. Emma swallowed hard, the check trembling in her hands. Victoria, I don't know how to thank you. Victoria's smile deepened. You already did. Emma let out a shaky breath, wiping her eyes. I don't know how this happened, but I'm glad it did. Victoria stood, extending her hand. Come with me. Emma hesitated before taking Victoria's hand. Victoria led her toward the window. Below them, the city lights stretched out endlessly. Emma's breath caught at the sheer beauty of it. You really live here? Victoria smiled faintly. Now you're starting to understand. Emma turned toward her, heart still racing. Victoria, why me? Victoria's gaze softened. Because you saw me. When no one else did. Emma's chest tightened. I guess, that's what I do. Victoria smiled. And now it's my turn to give back. Emma's hand tightened around Victoria's. For the first time in a long time, the future didn't feel so uncertain. Maybe this was the beginning of something neither of them could have expected. Emma sat stiffly on the edge of an expensive white leather sofa, feeling painfully out of place. Her scrubs were slightly wrinkled from her shift earlier that day, and she was acutely aware of the sheer elegance of her surroundings. The penthouse was bathed in soft evening light filtering through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city lights shimmering below like scattered stars. Across from her, Victoria sat with effortless grace, dressed in a tailored ivory suit that probably cost more than Emma's entire wardrobe. An assistant in a black suit appeared silently, holding out a sleek black envelope. Victoria smiled warmly and nodded toward it. Open it, she said. Emma hesitated, glancing between Victoria and the envelope. Slowly, she reached out and took it, her fingers grazing the smooth, glossy surface. Her heart thudded as she slid a trembling finger under the flap and pulled out a crisp piece of paper. Her breath caught in her throat. A check. For $1 million. Her head snapped up, her eyes wide. I don't understand. Victoria's smile was calm, steady. You saved my life and my baby's life, Victoria said softly. You didn't know who I was, but you helped me anyway. That's why you deserve this. Emma's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Her mind raced, trying to process what was happening. I can't accept this, she stammered. This is too much. Victoria's expression softened, and she leaned forward slightly. Yes, you can. And you will. Emma's hands trembled as she stared down at the check. Her chest tightened, and a rush of emotion swelled in her throat. Tears blurred her vision as she shook her head. I don't know how to thank you. Victoria reached across the space between them and gently took Emma's hand. You don't have to, she said. Just keep doing what you're doing, helping people. Emma swallowed hard, the weight of the moment pressing into her chest. She brushed the tears from her cheeks with the back of her hand, still clutching the check. I didn't help you for a reward, Emma whispered. I know, Victoria said softly. That's why you deserve it. Emma's gaze dropped back to the check, her fingers curling around it. $1 million. It was more money than she could have imagined in her wildest dreams. It could change everything, pay off her student loans, give her a chance to start fresh, maybe even open her own clinic one day. But that wasn't why this moment mattered. Victoria's eyes were warm, steady. There was no condescension, no pity, just quiet gratitude and respect. Emma took a shaky breath. What if I don't know what to do with it? Victoria's smile deepened. Then figure it out, one step at a time. Emma's chest loosened as a soft laugh escaped her. I don't even know where to begin. Victoria's hand squeezed hers gently. You already started the moment you helped me. Emma looked back down at the check, a tear slipping down her cheek. Slowly, she tucked it back into the envelope and set it carefully on her lap. I don't know how this happened, Emma said, but I'm glad it did. Victoria's gaze softened. So am I. Emma sat back, her heart still racing, but somehow steadier now. Outside the window, the city lights shimmered, stretching out endlessly beneath them. For the first time in a long time, Emma felt like maybe, just maybe, she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Months later, Emma stood outside the sleek glass doors of a brand-new clinic. Above her, a large white banner stretched proudly across the entrance, gold lettering shining under the afternoon sun. The Wellsworth Mothers and Babies Center, in honor of Emma Harris. Emma's chest tightened as she took in the sight. The building was modern but inviting, with soft earth-toned walls and wide glass windows that let in streams of natural light. A small crowd gathered nearby, staff members, local reporters, and curious passers-by, but Emma barely noticed them. Her heart swelled as she traced the gold lettering with her eyes. Her name, on a building, a place where mothers and babies would be cared for, where lives would be changed because of her. Emma took a steadying breath and pushed open the glass doors. Inside, the clinic was bright and airy. Soft sunlight poured through the windows, casting gentle patterns across the polished hardwood floors. Plush chairs lined the waiting room, and framed photographs of smiling mothers and newborns decorated the walls. Warm shades of cream and pale blue gave the space a comforting feel. Emma walked down the hallway, her steps slow and deliberate. Her fingertips brushed the smooth edge of a reception desk as she passed. Nurses in soft blue scrubs bustled quietly around her, and the faint sound of a baby's cry echoed down the hall. She passed a small room where a young mother sat cradling a newborn. The mother's eyes were wide, her lips pressed tightly together in fear. Emma's heart squeezed. She knew that look. Without hesitation, Emma stepped inside. The mother glanced up, her eyes glassy with exhaustion and uncertainty. Her dark hair was plastered to her forehead, and her arms were wrapped tightly around the small bundle against her chest. Emma knelt beside her, her hand resting gently on the mother's trembling knee. Hey, Emma said softly, her voice calm and steady. It's going to be okay. The mother's eyes filled with tears. I don't know what to do, she whispered. Emma smiled gently. You don't have to know right now. Just breathe. You're not alone anymore. The baby stirred in the mother's arms, letting out a soft, contented coo. The mother's gaze dropped to the small, delicate face nestled against her chest. A shaky smile tugged at her lips. Emma reached out, brushing the back of her fingers against the baby's soft cheek. You're doing better than you think, Emma said. The mother's hand tightened around Emma's. Thank you, she whispered. Emma squeezed her hand and smiled. You're not alone anymore, she repeated. As Emma stood, the mother's eyes followed her, gratitude and relief shimmering beneath the exhaustion. Emma stepped back into the hallway, her heart lighter. She continued toward the end of the hall, stopping at a wide window that overlooked the city skyline. The view stretched out before her. The golden light of the setting sun glinting off the glass towers and casting long shadows across the streets below. Her reflection stared back at her in the glass. The same face she'd seen countless times in the mirror, but somehow different now. Stronger, steadier. Her mind drifted back to that rainy night when she first saw Victoria, groaning in pain and leaning against her car. The choice she made that night had changed everything, not just for Victoria, but for herself. Emma took a breath and let her hand rest against the cool glass. Behind her, the sound of a baby's soft coo carried through the hallway. Nurses chatted quietly in the distance. A warm sense of belonging settled in Emma's chest. She smiled, her gaze still on the skyline. She had saved a life that night, but in the end, it had saved her too. Grateful, changed, ready for whatever came next. If you enjoyed this story about Emma and Victoria, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming and inspiring content. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you think about how Emma's life changed after that one rainy night? How did you feel about the connection between Emma and Victoria? Wasn't it amazing how Emma used the money to open the Wellsworth Mothers and Babies Center? Let us know how you feel about the ending in the comments below. Rate the story on a scale of 1 to 10. Did it touch your heart? Did you feel connected to Emma's journey? Be honest, we want to know. and tell us where you're watching from. We love seeing how far our stories reach. Whether you're in New York, London, anywhere else in the world, drop your location in the comments. Thank you for watching. Your support means everything.